Marvel recently announced updates on the Iron Man Armor Wars movie during Marvel Phase 6, and we're here to break it down for you. Now, while Armor Wars was initially supposed to be a Disney Plus series, it will now be a movie due to budget constraints. Unlike some of the Marvel Phase 4 Disney Plus series, which began as movie concepts, this one was developed specifically as a movie from the start. The reason behind the shift to a movie format is that the storyline requires a lot of Iron Man armor and special effects, which would not be possible within the budget of a Disney Plus series. Marvel intends to adapt the original Armor Wars comic book story for the movie, with some minor changes. In the comic version, Justin Hammer hires people to steal Iron Man's technology and runs the mask, which, if you recall, was partially shown in Iron Man 2. However, the new movie will also feature Ultron as a villain, played by James Spader himself. This is an interesting development, as Ultron was previously brought back for the What If series, voiced by Ross Marchand, who is known for his role in The Walking Dead and as Red Skull in both Infinity War and Endgame. So we can expect some exciting action scenes with Iron Man's armor and Ultron in the upcoming Armor Wars movie during Marvel Phase 6. He did a decent job of mimicking the original actors' performances for the characters in Armor Wars, but now that it's becoming a movie, the budget has increased and they can afford to pay James Spader to reprise his role as Ultron. Although Ultron was destroyed at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, his AI program was not completely eradicated and remained dormant. Additionally, pieces of Ultron's original code were embedded within Vision's programming, and while White Vision was reactivated, he had all of Vision's memories before his death in Infinity War. White Vision is expected to return in Armor Wars, which will also introduce other Iron Man-based villains and potentially feature Damage Control as a villain, given their history of co-opting Stark tech. Thunderbolt Ross and Val are also likely to play a role in the series, potentially leading to negative consequences. During the 5-year jump in the MCU, Tony Stark created 35 new armor suits that were not shown in Infinity War or Endgame. Alright, I think a little more explanation is warranted here. In the first Avengers film, Tony's latest suit is Mark 7. By the time Iron Man 3 takes place, his latest suit is Mark 42. In the time span between the first Avengers film and Iron Man 3, Tony makes 35 new suits because he was traumatized by falling through the wormhole in the sky in Iron Man 3. He deals with this trauma by creating new armors. In Infinity War, his latest suit is Mark 50, and by the time Avengers Endgame takes place, the suit that he's using is Mark 85. It can't just be a random number. As I said earlier, Tony makes new suits to deal with trauma, and he goes through a lot in Infinity War. He nearly dies at the hands of Thanos, fails to stop him, loses Peter, gets stuck in space for many days, and also had to deal with the loss of half of all life being erased. All this could have traumatized him. So it could be possible that he could have potentially built 35 new suits that we have never seen, just like Iron Man 3 in the 5-year time span between Infinity War and Endgame. He also possibly created Edith during that time. Now we know that there is an upcoming Disney Plus show called Armor Wars. I think we could potentially see these suits, if they exist, in that show. Don Cheadle, War Machine, describes the show as Tony Stark's worst nightmare come to life. I think Tony's worst nightmare would be seeing his armors that he created to protect the world being used for harming people that he created them to protect. This is exactly why he stops weapons manufacturing after coming back home in Iron Man, and why he refuses to hand over the technology to government in Iron Man 2. My theory is that somehow these unknown 35 armors could be stolen by an individual or an organization, which is why this Armor Wars show takes place. It's not far-fetched because Stark technology nearly got stolen by the Vulture in Homecoming, so I think it's definitely possible. But besides that, I have a feeling that the events of Spider-Man No Way Home and Loki, with the multiverse going wild, are also expected to play a role in the new post-Tony Stark era. The Armor Wars in the comics was about Tony realizing his designs had been reverse engineered and stolen, then systematically tracking each of them down and destroying the armor. This is problematic because some of it was in use by the US government's own guardsman armor and foreign government agents like Crimson Dynamo. On the other hand, in Dark Avengers, which occurs while Tony is dead and exists only as an AI, which is his current status in the MCU, Norman Osborn breaks into one of Tony's vaults and steals a suit of his armor, calling himself the Iron Patriot. This could well be the direction they're taking, and would be in keeping with the MCU, where they like to combine multiple comic storylines. With the Thunderbolts incoming, they may want to establish Tony left some suits behind, but this also means they don't want them all tracked down and destroyed in Armor Wars. All we have to do is replace Norman with Justin Hammer, and I think we have the perfect storyline set up for War Machine. And anyway, a movie of Rhodey learning this before hunting down and destroying the armor as a courtesy to Tony would be sweet. During the Ms. Marvel series, Damage Control used Stark Tech drones that were repainted to target regular citizens as part of Val's plan to turn the US into a police state. This idea is similar to Iron Man's desire to overprotect the world at the cost of personal freedoms. In the Thunderbolts Phase 5, Ross becomes president and Val runs the CIA, using Justin Hammer to cause chaos with the armors and release Ultron. What would this look like? I guess if I'm wishing for a plot, it would be this. I think the government raid of Stark Industries during No Way Home would make a great starting point. What did they take? More importantly, what do they plan to do with it? My story would see Val approaching Justin Hammer with a deal. You help us unravel Stark's tech and turn it into something useful, we let you out of jail. With the help of the Tinkerer, who he met in jail, he manages to hijack one of Tony's armors and resurrect the Iron Patriot. Of course, he mans it himself. Riri tries to stop him and gets rocked by the much more advanced Stark armor. She's about to get her bacon cooked when Vision returns to save her. He remembers stuff. Kind of. The final act is Hammer discovering Stark technology, which turns out to be a remnant of Ultron that Vision had naively saved, instead of killing him at the end of Age of Ultron. Tony hid it away when he discovered it in Vision's remains. Hammer, being the idiot that he is, unleashes it, and Ultron takes over his operation. War Machine, Riri Williams, Vision, and Iron Patriot all have to take on Ultron together. It goes fine. It would probably end with Ultron escaping to space and Hammer going back to jail. There are rumors that Robert Downey Jr. will return as an alternate version of Iron Man, seeking revenge for the death of the Illuminati, and the Armor Wars series will come after Avengers Kang Dynasty. The movies and Disney Plus series between Avengers 5 and 6 will likely have post-credit scenes where the timeline catches up, causing reality to collapse. But then again, all of this boils down to speculation. We have to wait for further news from Marvel to be able to say anything definitively. But given the way they booked the story, it's likely that we will get to see one or more of these potential storylines. Do you think Robert Downey Jr. is going to reprise his role as Iron Man? What are your thoughts on the reincarnation of Ultron? How do you guys think this will all play out? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more news like this. And as always, thanks for watching.